Are we live? Let's see.
Hi, Marta.
Hey, are we live?
Yes, we are
You're
live.
live.
See us on Twitter. So
Okay,
it's all live
fantastic.
and ready for the broadcast for the first AskQL tutorial for beginners.
That's right. So welcome, everyone. It's our new educational project with live coding lessons with me and Marcin Hagmeyer, who is actually inventor of AskQL and main contributor as well, together with Łukasz Czerwiński. So why me? Because I know nothing about coding and I am a real code newbie. So there you go, real deal. And we want to show you how it is to actually learn SQL. And yeah, that's our story basically. So I have no prior experience in programming. All I probably can do is maybe a simple website with HTML or CSS. But and a few days ago I started to learn JavaScript, but that's it. Nothing else. Blank page. So now my friend from Xbank is gonna teach me SQL. So fingers crossed. And meet Marcin Hagmeyer, who is a creator of SQL. Marcin, you're live.
Hello. Hi. Hello.
Hello, Marcin. Thanks for joining us and
Hi.
for taking part in this tutorial.
Hello, everyone. Everyone. Hi, Marta. I'm happy we're doing this, and let's teach as many people programming as we can. Let's do it in a fun way, and let's keep it very interactive between us initially, and hopefully in a little while more audience, because as I understand, it's gonna be a start of a series now.
Of course, we hope so. So guys, we are planning to have these lessons once a week, preferably on Monday at 6 p.m. So every week on Monday. If it's going to be too much, it might be in 2 weeks, once for 2 weeks, once for 3 weeks. 3 weeks, we'll see. But maybe for now, we're going to stay with once a week. So
yeah, I just wanted to explain a little bit to our audience why we're doing this in English. I mean, to anyone who's looking to get into programming, let me say that English is the language of programming and software development. Most programming languages use constructs that are derived from English words, and just like speaking any other language than English about programming is just a little bit inconvenient actually for programmers and people who are used to it. Most research and documentation is in English, so you're gonna use English every day anyway. So let's just start now with English. Makes it easier for everyone, and actually makes the job easier for us as well, because just by using English we can be a lot more specific than we would ever be with Polish.
Okay, totally. Yeah, so everyone is invited. If you want to learn how to code in SQL, you're invited. Please come join us here on Twitter. We're streaming there as well. And guys, few details, few organizational things you may want to know. Let me just start sharing my screen. Okay. I'm just gonna share entire screen with you. All right. So one thing, you want to go to Sql Playground. This is it, and this is the place we're gonna write the code in and have our tutorial in. Another thing is our landing page. So in case you want to just learn more about what AskQL is, we strongly recommend to go there and learn and just find out what is AskQL. But we're going to also talk about it in a minute. So these are two things you want to go to, and of course our repository on GitHub as well. You are invited to go there to learn, to read the documentation and some examples there as well. So, okay. Yeah, so now a few words on what AskQL is and who would be better to answer these questions, these initial questions on AskQL other than Martin Hagmeyer, who actually invented it. So Martin, if you'd like to share with us what AskQL is and why is it so cool?
Sure, thanks, Marta. So first of all, to anyone coming viewing this video, our ambition here is not to assume any knowledge of programming. We are a software company, so I mean, obviously this is not an easy thing to simulate here. So we're doing the best we can. If we like jump over some things that are not clear, please comment now or later, and we'll make sure to get back to you. AskQL is a programming technology, you can say. It consists of different parts. One of those is an AskScript, a programming language. So what is a programming solution? You're looking at, there is a lot of computers on pretty much all around us, and they happen to be connected by this network called internet. And all those different individual computers, they are good at different things, right? You can have a computer that's really good at like graphics computations, and another computer has this really big database that's super interesting that you might want to get some data from. You might have a different computer, which is actually your fridge, right? And it has its own unique information about it. So in order to communicate with a computer, we need something that's called a programming language. What this allows us to do is to give comments to that computer to perform a specific computation. So it's sort of like saying, hey, computer, do this for me. And that's what programming allows you to do. I mean, another way to look at it, you can imagine like you can program a TV, right? What does that mean? Like it means that you can set out different TV channel programs in the order that you want. You can pretty much set it up to be exactly like you want, right? So ability to do it is a programming. So we're gonna say the programmers are people who can make computers do what they want, right? So as you can imagine, like this is pretty useful thing, especially in this digital economy and digital society that we live in more and more these days. So we hope to make it easier for everyone to get into programming. We create AskQL and AskScript because we actually do believe that this is going to be and can be the simplest and the easiest to learn programming language because it consists only of the good parts. Like, so we looked at different programming languages. We said, oh, okay, this doesn't get used very often anyway, so why add that, right? And we created this new programming language. I think it takes the most stuff from JavaScript, which happens to be the most commonly used programming language, not because of like how well designed it is, more because of how pretty much like how many different environments you can run it in, right? So JavaScript can run in your browser. That means pretty much all internet applications use JavaScript in one way or another. And as you know, internet is this thing that blew up pretty much in the last 20 years. So made JavaScript a really big thing. And AskScript learns from JavaScript, and you can use AskScript everywhere today where you can use JavaScript. So already we kind of like have this big application of this knowledge. So kind of like summing it up, learning AskQL gonna allow you to program so communicate with any computer that runs what's called AskVM, so that understands AskScript. It's very easy to make your computer understand that, but it's kind of like a more advanced concept. So right now, we're just going to focus on using AskQL, so writing those AskScript programs and running those against different computers so that we can see that the same program can have different results depending on different environments that they run in.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Very cool. So what do you think a person like me with very little experience in coding and basically no knowledge of JavaScript, so is it possible to me to learn AskQL?
Yes, I would love to. I would love you to, and I would like to encourage everyone, and especially people from any kind of groups that are underrepresented in IT, to really step in and start changing it. Because I mean, we've in IT been having this problem that we've only been able to attract certain people to the field, which really sucks, you know, when you try to be like this very innovative field. If you only have one group of people, you're limiting yourself a lot, right? Because you just don't have access to all this like wisdom and culture and ideas that other people might have. So by making programming easier, or maybe this information more accessible, more encouraging, we actually hope to bring as many talented, bright individuals to the field as we can. Even if that was only for one lesson, I think that would be fun to have everyone like these days. I think like everyone should maybe write one small computer program just to have that experience, be able to say, hey, I wrote a program, you know, one day and I run it on a computer. I think that would be a pretty cool thing. Yeah.
That would be cool. Totally. But who is AskQL for? Is it for front-end developers, for backend developers, for full-stack developers, or is it just for everyone?
I mean, so when you're looking at programming language, right, you're going to have different applications of it that are very specific. For instance, like, oh, I write programs to get data from the database, right? Or, oh, I write programs to render an user interface on the screen so people have those buttons to touch, right? Or to click on. So it's not as much a matter of what the programming language is good at. It's more a matter of what we actually decide to use it for. The programming language by itself, we just want to keep it simple, keep it generic, and then sort of like develop applications of it to use it to the specific things. So by the like bones of it, the core, the essence, it can be used anywhere. We have added some things to the language to make it more useful in scenarios where you need to write program that communicates in between servers. There are certain qualities of the language, namely that I'm going to use words that I have not described yet, but just want to like lay it down here. It's an asynchronous language, so helps you build the software that a lot of things happen at different pace, and you need to sort of like figure out what has happened when and what we should do then afterwards. So it has this capability. It's asynchronous. It deals with immutable data only. So you have this concept that if you have a piece of data and information, it only can be processed. So you can create a new information from the old information, but you're not gonna like change what has been said already, right? So if I say, for instance, Marta, in my program, Marta is always going to mean the same thing unless I create like another Marta. You see if that makes sense, right? So this immutability and asynchronous nature and functional nature of the language are the like three main building blocks. Functional is like, you might have heard maybe about like C++ or Java that are quite renowned languages for being object-oriented programming languages, which we try not to be. As I mean, and the reason for it is that the experience was that it is easier to explain what a function is to a new coming programmer than explain what a class and object-oriented programming is. object-oriented programming is something that was invented to solve like an case of creating a business, programs for business pretty much. And there are like areas where object-oriented programming makes sense, I guess. But like in general concept, we think like the functional programming is an easier way with dealing with this problem. So it's kind of like functional programming is what we're gonna talk about here, even though we do support like those non-functional programming way constructions. I'm gonna dive into that more with examples, so no need to worry about it. Just want to say functional, asynchronous, immutable are the qualities of the language. Hey, by the way, let me ask you, Marta, like what originally made you learn programming actually now?
Okay, so you know what? So I kind of wanted to start to create websites, and then I thought that learning programming, for example, JavaScript, would be a step further. And also because I work with you guys, I just want to kind of understand you better. So that was also my motivation. And so my background is I'm more into graphic design. I used to be more into graphic design, and I decided to go a little bit more into coding. So the first step was to learn or refresh HTML and CSS. I'm still learning HTML and CSS. And then next step was JavaScript. And then we came up with this idea. So, hey, why don't I learn AskQL, right? Because it's also human-friendly language, programming language. And I was like, yeah, like I want to do it all, right? I want to learn it all. So why not? Sure. I'm in. Count me in, and I'm gonna learn that as well. And then, yeah, maybe one day I'm gonna be a front-end developer. Who knows, right? So that was my motivation.
Yeah, cool. Very nice. Very nice. I suppose a lot of people in the audience can relate to that.
Yeah, I think so. So guys, if you want to join us, if you're watching this, or if you're gonna watch that later, you can go to AskQL, AskScript Playground, and we're gonna write some code in there. If you have any questions, you can write them below on Facebook or on Twitter. We're gonna ask them right now or later, just whenever you write them, we're gonna answer them. And so what are we? Are we ready to go to into live coding now and do some coding?
Yeah, definitely. Let's write down some simple programs. So I saw that in the live comments we already have the links. So yeah, we're gonna use that as a reference. Yeah, let me show my screen and show the CLI. So I do quick sort of like introduction, and then we come back to this like question answers mode, I guess, which I really like personally. I feel it's gonna make a good video, because we can add timestamps to it, so people, if they're like not interested in something, they can just skip. Right. Okay,
so live coding it is. I dropped you the link to AskScript Playground. If you want to learn right now, just go to the playground and we're going to do some live coding. Just let me show you again. We are right here. And now, Martin, if you could share your screen and maybe show us what to do, because I know nothing at this point.
Yeah, I have shared it, but I think like you need to, as an organizer,
I need to add it to the stream. Sure.
All right. Cool. Thanks. All right. Okay. Yeah, so this is so this web page here. I'm on the cli.asql.org. AskQL.org being the main website. So if you go there, you kind of like see the overview, the landing page of it, and you can follow this link to see what's called the source code. So a source code is like a programming written down, right? And so it's a list of instructions to computers as programs. So you can browse that if you're interested. And we also there are ways to like ask questions directly to us about the code and the plans, and just like point out problems or propose new features. All of this can be done through issues. So like GitHub has this concept that a task and work item on the project, pretty much called an issue, they can be on any subject, right? So you can, if you want to say something, just say new issue and add a title to it and say submit, and we're gonna take care of that. So it's sort of like a way to, how do you stay in contact with AskQL, ask more questions or whatever, right? So here's the way to do it. We do it ourselves to list different bugs and like plans for the language. So this is why there is so many. Okay. Right. So coming back to this AskScript Playground. Right. So what you see here is a screen which has two sort of windows in it. The left side window is the one where, hold on, let me make it a little bit larger. All right. So the left side is the place where we're gonna write the code, and the right side is the place where it's gonna show answers, right? If so, when you just get on a website, you see this ask hi parentheses, and that's it. So let's run it. See. Oh, okay. So this is what I got, right? I got a text, pretty much says, hi, this is SQL server. All right. So it seems like this program causes the computer to respond with text to us. And yeah, that's pretty much what it is. A way to look at it is like it has those two different parts, the program. The first part is a ask section, right? So all of like this, I mean, it's sort of like an onion, you see, like it has layers, right? The first layer is an ask layer, which does this construction. It says, oh, I'm gonna write inside something that I want to ask the computer, right? So just like this wrapping, and inside you actually see the actual content, which is saying, okay, there is something called hi, and I want to run it. Run it means I want to add those columns saying that I want to get the value of it, not just it, you see, like because hi by itself, it's not a value in the program. It's we need to do a better way at displaying this here, but basically what hi is we call it a resource. A resource is a capability of program of a computer to come back with some information. So if you have high resource, that means that this computer is capable of providing the value of the high resource. If you want to get this value, you need to use these columns, right? And that's if you would like to learn more about like what are different things that you can write inside here, you can either browse through the demos that we are gonna do here in a little while, or you could follow this link to the values and resources over here, which which gives you this list, right? A lot. So this is actually a part of our source code on GitHub, but like it's useful because you can see, for instance, full name, this guy, Luke Skywalker, right? If I just copy paste this and place it here and say run, I get that value. So what's different about this? Like, why did I not have to do the columns with the full name? The reason is values and resources are a little bit different. The values are just values and the resources are just resources. So if I have a value like such as like the full name, I can just say its name, I guess, right? The full name, and it's gonna the computer is gonna see, oh, the full name is just a value, so I'm just gonna give you the result because there is no need to run it. It's always the same thing, pretty much, right? So that's it's very easy. You can see there is a few values defined for you already. So if you're curious, you can just like copy paste this over here and see, oh yeah, I do get this information from here, right? Yeah. That's very, very simple stuff. So talking about where this gets, I mean, do you have any questions at this point, Marta?
Yeah, let's go back just to that part. Why some of the calls have extra parentheses and some of them don't.
Yeah, right. So it has to do with facts that if I write down some identifier here, being like a hello or this first or yeah.
So it's linked to the specific value, right?
Yeah. That's the difference pretty much about it. It's also reflected in the code here, because you see the values here, which is just a names and the value, sort of like this mapping. And a little bit down here, you have a different thing, which looks a little bit different, uses this word resource. What the resource is like an integration between the programming language environment and the computer, allowing the HI to respond differently depending on pretty much like on anything you want, right? For instance, take a look at this HI resource. It says, hi, this is AskQL server, but it's also gonna add up this part, which is the current date. So what it means, hi is actually have different value. Leads HI being a resource, it can lead to different value every time you run it. So you can, I forgot the parents here. So you see here, it says 18, 28, 44. If I run it again in a little bit, I get the different value. And the reason why this is different is that it's actually run every time I run it, it's actually computed again, right? And the values, such as like the first name, they don't have to be computed again, because they already are values, right? So we just pretty much use them. That's the difference between values and resources. And it's also going to vary between computers. So the Playground is a specific computer. So it has its own specific values, its own specific resources that you can use, which might not be available on other computers, but those other computers are going to have their own interesting values and resources that you can use.
Okay, I got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so
would you like to see some math at work, some useful things? Let's imagine that you had to do some calculation, right? And you didn't want to pull out your calculator to do them. You can do those.
Let's do it.
All right, awesome. Just wanted to kind of follow up. So here's the thing, so let's start with a simple one called 2 + 2, right? AskQL understands it. You can run it here. So you can even say like, let's say, okay, and multiply it by 30. So it should be like, let's see. So what happened here, we got an error saying like the computer did not like our program for some reason, and hopefully it should explain why. So it said, expected all operators in an expression to be the same. But like found, which uses so pretty much what this says, it says, hey, you're mixing different operations in one operation. This is confusing. And the reason why we did that is actually we wanted the programs not to be confusing, and there are other reasons as well, but this reason is just easier to communicate. So start with that one. So you need to add those parentheses. So they, as you remember, as everyone remember from school, they sort of like define the order of operations. So even though in math we always do multiplication first and then addition, But in AskScript, we're gonna be very explicit about this. So if a programmer see our programs, they don't need to think about like some made up like ordering of the operators. They can just look at the parentheses and know how this is evaluated. So AskScript is gonna look at 2 times 30 first, gonna come up with 60, and then add 2 to it, it's gonna be 62, right?
So the program doesn't know that, for example, multiplication should be first before addition, but you have to just tell it to multiply first and then do the addition. Okay.
Yeah, yes, definitely. It has to do, this has to do with how this works internally, because in AskScript, you pretty much, this all end up being like function calls. So we need people to say what functions they want to run explicitly. Another way to do it, you can say colon plus instead of plus, right? So gonna keep it here for you to like keep in mind that we're writing the same thing but differently, right? I'm gonna run this. Sorry, maybe it's not clear now because I gonna do this. Yeah, see. So internally, like when you write just plus as a sign or do this, doesn't matter for AskScript. It's exactly the same things. But here, hopefully, you can see that these are functions, right? So it can be also written like this. It's also exactly the same thing over here that I wrote. I keep changing the numbers so you guys see that it was run again, actually. It's also the same thing, right? So all these 3 things are the same.
Right.
They're just written down differently. And that's exactly the reason why we need this parentheses, because there is multiplication and addition. There's nothing different about those. I hope I get this right, because I'm not 100% sure what was the function name. Oh yeah, it seems to work.
It works.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
okay.
See, so this
I didn't
guy,
have to actually even add multiply here to get the correct result.
I didn't, but I wanted to not use asterisks to give an example of because
Right.
these 2 guys, these 2 versions of my program are exactly 100% the same in the eyes of AskVM. So in the eyes of AskQL, this is exactly the same thing. So I hope it's now more clear why in the first thing we need those additional parentheses, because to AskScript plus and multiply are functions that have the same kind of right. They're citizens of the same rights. So multiply is not better than plus in any way. So it just like by itself, there is no reason to treat it differently. That's why we need those parentheses.
Okay, we got it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. One more.
Yeah, I just wanted to write this down also in this form, so we could actually see this again, right? So that's the second form. So you can either do this or do this with the colon, and you're gonna get the same thing. So this sort of like different ways to write functions. As you can see, as I said, it's a functional programming language. As you see, everything ends up being a function call, like here. So yeah, that's how it works.
Okay. Yeah. So it doesn't have like one strict syntax you have to follow exactly to get the right
yes,
result.
You're right. There oftentimes you're gonna see different possible ways of doing things. So it's gonna be the matter of style or like your preference, how you wanna write it. Like arguably, if you want to do a math computation, then the easiest you can do is just you use operators, provided that you know their meaning and you're comfortable with those. But at the same time, you can do exactly the same thing, just by being a little bit more descriptive about your operations. So you can say plus instead of just using the plus sign, you see?
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Right.
Makes sense.
Okay. Shall we move on then?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Okay. So, right. What I wanted to show you here is defining your own function, defining your own values and functions, right? So let's start with values. You can use let keyword for it and say 42, for instance, and equals 42. What I did here, I created a new value in my environment running, which creates a new value called 42 with that value as 42. So if I now say 42, then AskVM is gonna give me the number. But if I didn't do this line, so this creates a new value called 42 with that. Marta? Okay.
Yeah. I'm just
Yeah. Okay.
having some connection issues here.
Yeah, all right. Let me know if you're fine now.
Okay. I think I'm back. Okay.
I just wanted to point out how the defining your own values and functions work. So if I just said 42, because AskQL has no knowledge about what it is, I would get unknown identifier 42. So an error would mean explicitly that I used some identifier that was not did not make sense, was not known to that computer. So if I want to do it, I need to define it first, and I can do so using the let keyword, right? And now it's going to work perfectly, because now I define it what 42 is, and AskQL gonna remember that and gonna allow me to use it later down the road as well. And I can mix those, right? So I can say 42 times 2, I get this, right? So I get the same, everything that I've been able to do so far, I can still do using this bigger environment that I have now, consisting not only of whatever there was before, but also of this new thing that I added.
Okay, so you have let 42 minus 42. Is that what you're having?
What I have here is let 42 equals 42.
That equals, okay.
What equals 42? Yeah.
All right.
Meaning that I create a new thing called 42, and I give it a value of 42. Yeah. There is with the let, you can do also the following. You can change its value, so you can be like, oh, 42 from now on I just want to be 13, for instance, right? So now it's obviously gonna change the result of my program. The result of the program is always the last line here. So now it's gonna be 26. Why? Because even though I created with 42, I then changed my mind. See, I given it a different value. I given it value 13, and then I asked, right, what is the value of 42 equals 2? Now 42 being that 13.
So you actually can, it's just the name of the value, right? You can name it like whatever, like a cloud9.
Yes.
Or like green tree.
Yes, and this is exactly a very important thing about programming, to pick good names for your variables and values. You're pretty much your own identifiers. They should be descriptive. They don't need to be long, but they should do a good job at explaining their contents or their purpose. So if 40, I mean, you can see that after I signed 13 to 42, all of a sudden all my programs was really much harder to understand, because then why 42 times 2 would equal 26, you see?
Mhm.
Right? Yeah. But I just wanted to do it anyway for you guys to see how let works.
Mhm.
Another
So,
thing, yeah, go on.
Let function, is this a function? Let.
Let's call it a construct, or let's call it an instruction, actually. Let's say that this is an instruction.
So
And
this
let's say
let.
that 42 is a value. Yeah, as
So
far as the vocabulary goes.
okay. So
Yeah.
this let instruction basically assigns a value to the name.
Yes. We have a running environment. This running environment consists of values and resources that I can query, right? That I can ask for the ways I showed you. What let does, it allows us to expand this environment by adding a new identifier to it with whatever value we want.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
As you can see, this is pretty useful, right? Because now then I can do computation which is not only based on the computer's stuff, right? I can also add my own numbers to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
One interesting thing about the let instruction, there is a different version of it too, which perhaps like is more recommended. I guess you should see yourself use that more often, because it's not often the case that you need to change your mind about a variable like I did here. So you could actually be writing const. Const is a shorthand for constant, meaning that this is something that's not supposed to change. And if you do this, then we are not going to allow you to. You should get an error at this line, pretty much, with const.
Okay.
At this line.
Let's see.
I think it's not this error is not showing up yet in version 1.1, but we do have an issue about making it work like this. So you're not gonna get this error currently, but in the next version or a version after that, you surely it's gonna get an error, because this is how JavaScript works too, right?
I'm not getting
the JavaScript. You can just pop it out from the browser here, and if I did let 42 here, and then be like, okay, 42 now equals 13, it's gonna be fine with JavaScript. But if I did 40, I don't know, 5, right, and say 5, it's also gonna create this 5 for me. But if I now wanted to say, oh, 5 equals 6, then I'm gonna get an error. And this is a very similar error you're gonna see here. You just haven't done it yet. And I mean, let and const is what you would see in JavaScript. So
that const doesn't work for me.
I
mean, it doesn't work in the playground, I think.
What do you mean?
So I got const green tree equals 13, and then I put green tree equals 14, and then I go green tree times 2, and it returns 28. So it counts.
Would you maybe it's a good time for you to share your screen a little bit and okay.
Just let me show you. Oh, so now I got. So wait. Okay, I'm gonna share the screen and I'm gonna go. Okay. Can you guys see it? It returns 28.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's right. So in version 1.1, if you say const like ask VM is gonna just treat it as let, so that's why you're seeing it here. So this program it just has this error on line 7 because you should not assign a different value to green tree because you declared it to be a constant. But you're not getting this error. You're supposed to get this error, but what happens at line 7 is that green tree gets a different value, and that's why you get 28.
So have we just found the bug?
We have known about it already, and it is scheduled to be fixed.
Damn it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Maybe
sure
next time.
don't worry, I'm sure we're gonna this AskQL. I mean, creating a programming language is a pretty complicated task, and it's with this project's been around for what was it, like 2 months maybe now. So yeah, we release every 2 weeks new versions, so you can see it by the Playground version what version you're on, and kind of like on GitHub you get more details about what was changed, but like the vision is there already, and a lot of stuff works already. It's just like those, I would say, details, small details that need polishing, but yeah, a lot of stuff works already, and we have like hundreds of different AskScript programs that are run as part of our tests to make sure they work. So a lot of stuff you can already do in this.
Okay. So do we want to do one more example, or are we wrapping this up?
I would actually would like to show something more. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, let me share my screen again. Right. Okay. Are you seeing this, Marta, again?
To add it to the stream. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can see it. Yes.
Yeah, cool. All right. Very nice. So let's remove that and let's write something different. Let's call it a what we're gonna run. So you guys have seen how we can create our own values in AskScript. Let's create our own functions, our own resources in AskScript. So so we can use them, right? So let's make something so what we want to do here, we want to create something called double. And how double should work is like if we give it a number, it should give us back 10. It's not gonna work now because there is nothing like double, but we want there to be something like double, and we want it to return twice the number it gets. Okay? Yeah. So how we would do this? We start with the same thing that we have seen before. So we say let double, meaning that we're gonna define what double is. We need this equal sign, and here we're gonna define the function. This is very easy, similar to what we have already seen. We just need to say fun as in like programming is a lot of fun, but also fun for function, right? So we need those curly braces like with ask. The curly braces, what they do, they sort of like help you separate, I mean, the stuff that goes inside the fun from all other stuff. So that's why we need the curly braces here. And so what is double? Double is basically, it takes an argument, right? So the argument, we can the argument, sorry, excuse me. The argument is available at $= $0. $0 is how we identify the first argument here. And you can say =2, right? This is 10. This is, so what we see here, we said double is a function, and the function has only one instruction, being the computation of the value, and $0 is the first argument, =2 becomes the result, and this is how you get it. If we wanted to use the double again, so we could do it like so, would get it here, would be 20 for, I hopefully it should make sense now. And another way to write the same thing would be to say 5 double double, sort of like using the our colon again, right? So this is also double, but it's kind of like a more fun way of writing this, I suppose, because you don't need the parentheses to do it anymore. And does that make sense, Marta?
Well, I'm getting something weird here because I can't see what you have on your screen.
Yeah, maybe if you watch our stream at the same time, then it would make it easier, because the stream, yeah.
So I have let double equals fun, and then parentheses. Oh, okay, got it. $0 times 2, right?
Yeah.
Parentheses close, and then I have double, and then 5.
Yes.
And, okay, and I got 10.
Oh,
so
cool.
Now it works. Okay.
Awesome. Right, and this $0 is not pretty. So there is another way to do it. You can, but the way to do it, like, we need to tell AskScript how we want to call the first argument. So we can do it here, and we can say, let's just say n. N is gonna be the name of the first argument. So now I can, instead of doing that, I can just say n times 2.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing, but a nicer code, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so you go 5 double 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 double.
Yeah. If you do double 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 double, you can discover the power of exponential computation, I guess, because yeah. Right. You're gonna get, yeah.
There is this, you know.
Yeah, and if you start with 2, you sort of move by powers of 2. So if you say double 5 times, you get 2 to power of 5, power of 6, I suppose. Yeah, being 64.
Where do you put space in that double double double?
You can in AskScript you can use spaces wherever you want. It doesn't matter really. So it's just a matter of taste. Like, if this makes more sense to you, you can do this, or you can do this, or this. It doesn't matter for your program. Like, we don't look at spaces when running your program. I tend to not use too many spaces just to save space. But if you anywhere in your program when you feel like you need space or enter or anything like this, feel free to use it. There is white space is a fluid thing, sort of.
But I'm getting a syntax error, and I don't know why. Maybe I can't see something.
Yeah. Would you? I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna.
We need to figure this out, Marta, so that we can both sort of write code at the same time.
Okay. What's wrong?
Would you? This is pretty much everything that I wanted to show for the simple stuff, so we can move on to your screen.
Oh, I thought I was sharing already.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here we go. When syntax error expected.
Yeah. What is this in line 7? What's going on over there? Oh,
Maybe it's close too soon.
yeah, maybe that may be it actually.
Let's see. Oh,
Nice.
well, what do you know?
Yeah.
No, it works. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think
Right.
that works. Really nice. Really nice. I mean, the double function is very simple. It's perhaps like super simple function. You can most often you're gonna see more complicated functions, but I think this is something that if you're curious, you can discover by seeing those demos, or you can just tune into another lesson from. How was it, Marta? Did you like it? Do you think like was it informative?
I did like it. I mean, now I know a little bit more about AskQL and how it works. So yeah, and I'm happy that the fact that you can put space pretty much everywhere, it's a good thing, especially for a code newbie, because if it was very strict and I had to put it in exact place, then it would probably cause more errors.
Yeah, it's that the white space policy, let's call it that way, varies between languages. JavaScript is like AskScript, doesn't like care about how you use spaces at all. But like there are other languages like Python, also a popular language, which cares a lot about how you use spaces because they tend not to have the curly braces but have the white space instead. It's just a matter of taste. We chose curly braces because AskScript was sort of like derived in a way from JavaScript. So we tend to use a little bit more the ideas from JavaScript, but definitely not all of them. Just the ones that we feel are important to move to another language.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we've learned few instructions.
Yeah.
I want to call them functions, but these are not functions. So instructions, like let.
I mean, we're gonna learn in a little while that these actually are functions, but like they have some side effects. Let's call it that way. They also can be called monads by like some hardcore programming language scientists. Not gonna call it that way too often because hardly anyone understands what the monad is anyway. But like, yeah, it's a function. Like every instruction ends up being calling a function. So just so you know, we're gonna dive more deeply into it. But yeah, these are all functions. I just use the name instructions to sort of like reflect a little bit different side effects of it because you get to change the environment, right? Most of operations, they won't change the environment, and you don't want to change the environment too often because it's weird for your program to start behaving differently just because of the change to an environment. So that's why we sort of like have this distinction. Oh, here's the function, doesn't have side effects, just produces a new value, right? Here's an instruction, it has side effects. It's gonna change the environment. Might produce a value as well, but the most important thing, it changes the environment. You need to be aware about this. So yeah, that's what's different.
Okay, so that was fun. I'm happy I managed to get the results the same pretty much as you, except for that 1 or 2 errors, but we got that straight. So yeah, that's a good first step. And let's go to Q&A session right now. Right?
Yeah, exactly. If you guys would like to ask about anything, you can do it now, and we can answer it now during the live session, or at any other time you can also follow up, and we're gonna get back to you on it. Marta, if you have any questions, then please ask them, and yeah.
Yeah, I would probably have more questions, but I think they're going to come up further on in that learning process as well. But guys, if you have any questions, and we have our Discord channel, so if you want to ask Martin or other contributors anything, then just let us know, and we're going to invite you to the Discord channel, and just, you're going to get all the answers, all the answers you need to get.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah, I think I did well. I hope. Yeah, if you just follow the instructions, so if you just want to get back to this video, you're good, because I hope it's being recorded, and we're going to put it on YouTube as well, so you can go back to this lesson just anytime you want. And hopefully we're gonna meet here in a week or two and have another lesson.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be amazing to do it every week. I'm super excited for it, and I'm sure Łukasz, which is another developer in the project, would be very excited as well to talk about the language and its use cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So okay, you guys. Whenever you have any questions, let us know here on Twitter, on Discord, on YouTube, just wherever you want to. We are everywhere, so just let us know, and we'll get your answers. And fingers crossed for me learning AskQL and AskScript, and hopefully I'm gonna be able to actually write a simple program.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna cover a lot of ground in coming lessons, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
So yeah, stay with us, stay tuned. We're gonna inform you about upcoming events and upcoming lessons, and just news. And any questions, let us know, and we will see you in a week.
Yeah.
We'll see you next Monday.
Bye, guys.
Okay, so thank you. Bye-bye. See
Bye.
you later. Bye.